Hi everybody. Today we're going to continue chatting about your motor vehicle coverages and some personal injury law, in particular car accidents. So the big message for today is about your insurance policy, and if you live here in Southern California, in particular Los Angeles, you should definitely have what are called UM/UIM coverages. Now what are those? Those are basically additions you can have or add-ons you can have to your insurance policy for your vehicle. Essentially, UIM means Under-Insured Motorist and UM is Uninsured Motorist. Here's a bit about those two things. Under-Insured Motorist is a provision that you can have added to your vehicle contract so that if you're in a car accident and the person that hits you or causes the accident doesn't have enough insurance to cover all of your damages, you can now go to your own insurance company to pick up the remainder of the tab, hopefully, depending on how much coverage you get. Here's an example, a very brief example. Let's say the guy that hits you has one of those very basic, simple 15,000, 30,000 policies, aka in our industry, we call them 1530 policies. This means that if he's in an accident with you, his insurance company's only liable for up to $15,000. So what's the problem with that? Well, here's the problem. Let's say you're driving, somebody T-bones you at an intersection and breaks your left arm. Right away you have $15,000 more than damage because you have a broken bone. You're going to have to go to the hospital. Just the medical transportation there is probably going to be $1,200. They have to do x-rays, you have to go to the ER where everything's a premium. You may have to do therapy. Next thing you know, you have a $25,000, $30,000 bill. And that's just your medical bills. That's not even lost wages. That's not even the pain and suffering. Well, guess how much the insurance company for the other guy is going to pay you? They're not going to pay you a penny over $15,000. So what do you do now? How are you going to get paid all the rest of the money? Yeah, you can go sue the guy that hit you, but what if he has no assets? your judgment's going to be worthless to you. So what the UIM does is your insurance will kick in now. So as long as he has a $15,000, $30,000 policy, which doesn't cover all of your injuries, now you can go back to your home insurance company and say, hey, look, I was injured in this accident. The $15K didn't cover all my injuries. I need you guys to basically fill in the blanks and pay me more to satisfy my pain and suffering and my injuries. Now, one quick rule about this, how this works. Remember, and I want you to remember this because it's really important, you can only tap into your UIM coverage once you've exhausted the other person's policy, and also their policy has to be lower than what your UIM coverage is. As a brief example, let's say that person has a let me just adjust this here. Let's say that person has a 1530 policy. You would need something above that to be able to tap into your own UIM. So let's say you had a UIM coverage of 1530 as well. You wouldn't be able to go after your own policy to get compensated. You'd have to have something above that. So maybe a 2550 or 50-100K and above. Otherwise, you can't really tap into your own policy. The other thing is, as I've mentioned, you have to have exhausted the other guy's policy. That's the first thing. That's UIM. So that's Under-Insured Motorist, meaning the other guy didn't have enough insurance to properly compensate you. And we see that all the time, especially in cases where somebody bangs into 2 or 3 cars and there's 3 or 4 victims involved. You're going to burn through that 15,000 in the blink of an eye, and then who gets what. So you should totally get that. UM is very similar to that. It's a corollary to that. Essentially, that's Uninsured Motorist. Again, very valuable here in Los Angeles, and I'll get to all that and why that is in a minute. But the UM component, also super important. That's for people that are without insurance altogether and that get into an accident with you. Because let's say you're, again, same situation, you're driving, you get T-boned by somebody, and he's undocumented, he has no insurance either, and he flees the scene. Well, who do you go after now? Even if he didn't flee the scene, if he just simply didn't have insurance, yeah, maybe you can try to get him arrested and who knows what, but that's not going to pay your medical bills. So again, it works in the same way. Now you can go back to your own insurance company and say, look, I was in an accident, this guy hit me, he has no insurance, you guys have to pay up now, so I can be compensated for my pain and suffering and my medical bills, etc. So Those are the two components. Now, why am I talking about this today? Because I see accidents every day of the week. We get calls at our office for people that were in an accident, and we get excited, yay, we got a new case, but then we find out the person that hit our guy or our client doesn't have any insurance. And I see that every day of the week. Fortunately, most of our clients tend to have these added coverages, but a lot of people don't. And why is that important in LA? Well, let's be blunt about this. A lot of people are not in LA or the USA legally, and a lot of these people that are undocumented, or also known as legal immigrants, I don't know what the PC term for that is anymore, but as an attorney, we usually call them undocumented immigrants. Anyways, a lot of those people are driving without licenses and they're driving without insurance. Now, immigration aside, there are just a lot of people that are simply delinquent and don't get insurance, or their insurances lapse. It's pretty common that somebody forgets to pay their insurance the day before they get in an accident. Murphy's Law, I guess. So irrespective of why they don't have insurance, there are just a lot of people that are ghosts here in LA in particular, and seem to want to remain that way. As a result, they don't have licenses a lot of the time, and they sure as hell don't have insurance. And it's not uncommon for me to see accidents where somebody hits our client and then leaves their car where it is and then runs away, and they're never to be heard from again. So that's why it's so important for you guys to have your own insurance. It's kind of like, I guess, the freeloader effect, if you will, where you have to pay for other people's misgivings, but that's just the way it is, and it's really worth it. You will pay a little bit more. It's not a lot. It's not a lot of money. I mean, these things shouldn't really bump your insurance up by more than 20 or 30 bucks a month, maybe even less, and it's totally worth it because the peace of mind that you're going to have, and just the headache you're going to avoid by having these coverages is going to save you a lot of stress if you ever are in an accident. And it's very likely in this situation in this city that you're going to get hit by somebody that just doesn't have insurance or doesn't have enough insurance, because some of the people that do buy insurance just buy these really low end 15, 30 policies, which these days really doesn't cover much. So keep that in mind, and please go ahead and get that if you don't have it. You'll be very grateful that you did get it if something does happen. So you just aren't left, with a busted car in your garage. And please don't assume, oh, well, I'll just sue the guy if he doesn't have enough insurance. Well, a little word about that. If somebody doesn't have any assets and they don't even care enough to get the proper insurance, why on earth would they care about you suing them? You can go ahead and sue them, and you'll maybe get a judgment. You'll probably get a judgment if you win. But then how are you going to collect on that? That's civil law. So even if the guy doesn't pay, he's not going to go to jail for not paying you. And if he has no assets, you don't really have any way to collect on your judgment, because I see all these personal injury firms every day of the week saying, oh, we got, $2 million judgment. That's nice, but it's usually not even worth the paper it's printed on because they have nothing to collect upon or collect against. So anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. My point is, please go ahead and get those added insurances to your car coverages, especially if you're here in Los Angeles and Southern California. Invaluable and totally worth it. All right. That's all I wanted to communicate to you guys today. Have a great day, and we'll be back later.